Hi, welcome back. My name is Wildkard. Thank you for being here and giving me the opportunity to entertain you. Let's get on with today's content. It's Tuesday, it's News Day. Let's take a look what happened last week in rugby. It was the first week of July, which means the July International Test Series were here. The Northerners came down south, and it didn't go well for the Northerners. It was a clean sweep for all the Southerner teams, including Argentina. I did not forget you guys, beating all the Northern teams in the clean sweep. And the Rugby World Rankings, let's have a quick look. Big movements for the Southerner sides. The Springboks remain at top. Number one, the All Blacks claws themselves back into second place over France after beating Ireland. France drops one place despite beating Japan. They didn't really gain much points from the points differential in winning against Japan in Japan. And another big movement, Australia moving above England, beating England for the first time under the watch of Eddie Jones since 2016. Really good effort. And a big one as well for Argentina to beat Scotland at home. This was also another one of those games where very close, and this was the first game under the leadership of Michael Cheika. So yeah, this is pretty good stuff for Mike, for Czechs. And good start for the season and clean sweep for the Southerners. Obviously, let's start with South Africa. So no one was talking about this. I was surprised. I was expecting people to complain about this all over social media. The water breaks. I thought this was just unbelievably unnecessary for the game. There's a lot of talks about the game already being too slow, too much breaks, and basically World Rugby has introduced the trial law to allow 2 water breaks per half, predetermined by the referee. Now, I did talk about this article like 3 weeks ago when this was first announced. My initial interpretation was that the water break, like each team was given 2 water breaks, and you are basically, if your player's injured, you are allowed to use one of your water breaks to basically patch him up. Like if someone's down cramping, the whole team gets the water break, right? And you have 2 of those. Basically, if you run out of water breaks and one of your player goes down, you play on without him, right? So the water breaks is supposed to be there to use as like an emergency that's my interpretation, right? But the way it actually functioned, obviously, me foul English, I did not interpret this correctly. The way it worked is that teams are predetermined with the referee when the water break is going to be taken during the game, and each team gets 2, and basically they'll tell the referee, hey, I want a water break at the 15-minute mark, and the referee will stop the game. Obviously, with when the game stops, when there's a natural stoppage in the game, like a penalty or something, you get a water break. And this was just so unnecessary. I mean, I can see this being so bad. This was not played in Australia and New Zealand. This was played in Argentina. This was played in South Africa. And I'm not sure if they played in Japan because I haven't watched that game yet. But this was played in USA. They played the Barbarians. So this was played all around the world except for Australia and New Zealand, which I really do appreciate we don't play that because it's really just silly. A lot of times a team could be having momentum 15 minutes, 20 minutes into the game. I really needed that momentum to apply pressure to score points. Having a water break in the middle of that would just be like completely ruins the game. This needs to go like ASAP, like next week. This needs to stop. It's so bad. It's so bad. So South Africa experienced this. Literally the first time I watched this live was during the South Africa against Wales game. And I was just like baffled. I actually thought this thing needs to go like this weekend, ASAP. It's just, think about this, right? The NFL plays in quarters. The rugby is currently played in 1/6 because you get 2 water breaks per half. So the game is breaking up into 6 little periods. Okay, you're playing in 6th. I don't think any other game in the world plays in 6th, gets that much break. If you want to play in quarters, that's probably as far as you can go. To play 1/6 makes no sense. No sense. Needs to go. It needs to go ASAP. And anyway, let's move on before this turns into a 30-minute rant about this water break. So the Springboks had a get out of jail last week. Poor first half. Yanshi's had a bit of a rough day, and Valenza came in to save the team kind of from the second half. The Springboks applying a lot of pressure to the Welsh, giving away way too many penalties to the Wales, and in the end, Springboks were able to pull out the win with Dan Biggar, the man that ultimately missed the conversion that could have put the Welsh ahead, also giving away the penalty in extra time to allow the Springboks to clutch the win. This was obviously changes needs to be made. So as of this recording this video, the Springboks has just announced their team for the next weekend for the second test, and sweeping changes across the Springbok team. I'm going to go into a more detailed look into the team later in the week when the Wales team is announced. I'm going to do like a full comparison, but just so you know, a lot of debutants are put into the team. They are still playing the 6-2 bench split, but obviously a lot of changes, a couple new debutants on the bench, a couple of debutants on the starting team as well. Esterhuizen and, you know, what's his name? No, sorry, Esterhuizen, he's not debuting. What's his name? Evan Rules is debuting. So yeah, this is gonna be a completely new Springbok side with a lot of, this is like Springbok tempting the fate. Wales has never been the Springboks at home, and this is Springboks tempting fate. They do have Handré Pollard back in the game, which is something that that kind of like really the Springboks needed. But man, the Springboks is really tempting the fate in the second test. And we shall see how this goes. I'm already looking at this lineup a little bit concerned because we know the Welsh is hungry. They're hungry for a win, and we shall see how it goes. Like I said, I'm going to do a full comparison between the lineup when the Welsh team is announced later this week, so keep your eyes out for that. So yeah, we're talking about this just then. This game was really one of those games where Wales came out fully swinging, looking extremely good, and the Springboks was having a rough day. A lot of people attributed it to the poor performance to Yankees. I do feel sorry for him a little bit. A few reasons. First of all, the coach did mention that he had 30 minutes of rugby since coming back from injury. So yeah, he really needed some time. 30 minutes to be thrown into an international test is a little bit too soon. So you would expect him to rustiness out of that. Secondly, he was kind of like instructed to play a game style that really didn't suit him. There was a lot of kicking on the game, pretty much like the Handré Pollard style. A lot of kicking, not much running from his behalf, and he's really just not that. You know, it's almost like playing a different position when you're asked to play a strategy that you're not used to, especially after such a long period off. So yeah, I thought that's also played in a bit to why his whole game was really off today. And also keep in mind something that nobody kind of mentioned. He was just before being pulled into the team under like a lawsuit to appear in court for damaging an aircraft whilst it was just before he was flying, like a few weeks ago when he flew into South Africa. He had allegedly damaged the aircraft whilst on board, and it was waiting to go to court hearings like last week. And I don't know if you guys understand this. I'm sure the law can't be that different, but in Australia and like in pretty much everywhere in the world, damaging an aircraft is a very serious crime. Like you could potentially face jail time for that. Like they take, aviation like safety and security is really important. And damaging an aircraft obviously depends on what he actually did. Could be a very serious crime. And he had that charges dropped like last week just before putting into the Springbok team. Like he could be under a lot of personal stress from that as well. He could be facing like months in jail for that. You never know what sort of stuff that what sort of charges that he was discussing with his lawyers, and he could be under a lot of stress from that as well. So he probably didn't really have that much time to prepare for a big test match. So I really don't think people should go too hard on him. I think he deserved a bit of a break for this performance, to be frank. And yeah, that's the reasons I felt. The coaches did back him. I thought the coach did do quite well. Saints, really gave him the confidence that you really kind of want from a coach as well. So yeah, it was really good. Another standout performance on the weekend was Damian Valemsa. I thought he was man of the match, but Jasper Visa I think got the man of the match. But yeah, I thought he was really good. Another guy, he was so talented. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. He's the best player in South Africa. There you go. Next up, we've got the Dan Biggar. Obviously came out of the game. He was in really poor form as well. A lot of chatting during this game to the referee, to the opposition captain. A constant bickering on the game. He was very angry, very emotional. As a captain, he really failed to control his emotions, and as a result, he missed the he missed the conversion at the end, which could have saw Wales being 2 points ahead of Springboks. A minute before the on the 79th minute essentially. So he missed that really crucial conversion, and then under pressure, he deliberately knocked on the ball. After the match, he said he think that was a bit hard done by, but it is what it is. Even he said that's just the way it is. He kind of admitted that. But yeah, I think it's just him not able to manage his emotions. Just really need to keep cool heads in those sort of situations. And Dan Biggar, I felt like maybe having Alan Wynne-Jones back as a captain for Wales is a little bit better, because Dan Biggar is very hot-headed and really need like a calm head as the captain of the team. Instead of just giving him that platform essentially to vent his frustration to the referee, to the opposition, really hurt his performance, to be fair. And the team, you saw the whole team fall apart around him. Everyone was giving away penalties left and right. There was no discipline, and yeah, I felt like largely that was attributing to Dan Biggar not able to control his captaincy. Thomas Francis, we'll talk about this in the post-game review. He suffered a pretty bad head injury in this game, like literally minutes coming onto the field. Gets kneed on the head essentially whilst making a tackle. So he had a concussion issue early in the year during the Six Nations. So he's not going to be playing the remainder of the test. In fact, I feel like he probably should retire. This is like, he's had a few really poor concussions now in like 1 year. I feel like his family probably should, for his family's sake, he probably should stop playing. So move on to Australia now. This was the first time history was made. First time Australia beat England 30 points to 28. And Australia was comfortably, won the game pretty comfortably, to be fair, despite the scoreline. With a red card in the bin. Australia had to play pretty much most of the game, like 60 minutes or something, with the red card. And this was a pretty egregious incident. A lot of people talking about it. Essentially, Johnny Hill from England, the number 5, pulls Darcy Swain's hair whilst in the ruck, just really like yanked him hard out of really hard for quite a long time. And Darcy got out, not happy. Looked like he tried to do a shoulder bump, but he like clips him on the head with a headbutt and gets a red card. Johnny Hill only gets a yellow. He should have been red carded during this game. I'm really surprised. This is really poor. And also, not only that Johnny Hill didn't get a red card, he wasn't even cited after the game. This is just like bizarre, right? This is bizarre. Actually, we'll talk about this in a sec. Kind of skipped one. This is bizarre. He's not only that he didn't get red carded, but he wasn't even cited. So it's Tuesday after making this video. They have 48 hours to cite him. So basically, the time has expired now. He's not cited, despite the fact that there were what do you call it? Historical incidents where players gets banned for pulling their hair, like this guy mentioned here. Both people got banned before. Essentially, people got banned before for pulling the hair, and people are just like, why is he not banned? And this is like pretty cynical stuff. He literally he had the intention to hurt Darcy Swain, and he literally just like grabbed his hair and yanked it as hard as he can. It's not like an accident. He yanked it as hard as he can in broad daylight. Like, that was really bad. And to be honest, this is really poor by World Rugby, because what do you call it? because Johnny Hill had a malicious intentions to inflict pain upon another player, he should be red carded and he should be match banned with no remorse. It's pretty bad. And not only that, he wasn't red carded, he's not even cited. I'm really disappointed. Like, people get red carded for accidentally bump someone in the head by pure accident, gets banned 4 weeks, 12 weeks, 10 weeks, whatever they feel like. And this guy had malicious intent to hurt somebody on the field. Not even a match ban. Really poor form by World Rugby. It's disgusting. This guy should be banned for like 6 months, not just like 3 or 4 weeks. Like, here's an indicator of how bad this is, right? Hair pulling is illegal in the UFC. If someone pulls another fighter's hair in a UFC fight, that fighter would have been deducted a point. That's how bad this is. And in rugby, World Rugby just thinks this is nothing. Really poor. Let me know your thoughts. I think this is really poor by World Rugby. Like, all this bullshit. They talk about player safety. The most fucking lowest reaching fruit here. Not even gonna fucking bother to look into it. Fucking incompetent bunch of... God, man, I'm so... Anyway. Tuesday is the day I need to be professional. I'm not gonna go on ranting about this. Let's move on. So, yeah. Eddie Jones, after the match, even more pathetic excuse. He came out and basically said that the referee helped Australia by going easy on them in terms of penalizing them because they had a red card. Eddie Jones' direct quote calls this social reciprocity. He thinks that the referee tends to go easy on a team that has a red card. Yeah, I've never seen this before. Have you? I have never seen this before. And by the way, England had had a pretty good play against Ireland with 14 players. Did that help? Did the referee help England on that? Maybe they did. Are you talking about that game, Eddie? Many people thought the referee helped England there. Are you going to talk about that one? So, yeah. Eddie Jones says, I think when you play against 14 men, the referee has a significant impact on the game. And you've got to be good enough to understand what that is. And he basically calls it social reciprocity, where basically the referee goes easier on the team. So basically there was some article that came out as well that did say that the referee was a little bit easier on the Australian side. So maybe he has a little bit of point, but your player should have been red carded as well. Where's like, you got away with the red card with your player. What? Anyway, no ranting. News. So the Wallabies suffered a few injuries this game. Quade Cooper had a tight hamstring during the warm-up, so he had to put out again before the game even started. Tom Banks broke his arm during the game. Alan Alatoa had a bit of a concussion. Yeah, and then had a concussion. And then obviously Dusty Swain gets match banned. So Wallabies are having to pull a lot of people back from other parts of having to kind of like reconstruct the team a little bit for the second test. So some good news is that Danilo Tupou is expected to be back for the second test, so that'll be a good replacement for Alan Alatoa. They have called up They have called up Reece Hodge from the Australia A side to fill in for Tom Banks. And yeah, so Australia has to do quite a bit of shuffling around as a result of the first test. A lot of casualties coming under. So Quade Cooper, no words that he's going to play or not. He's going to go for a scan. So it's not really 100% to say Quade back in the second test just yet. As a result, yeah, Reece Hodge being added to the Wallaby squad. For the England side, not everything's cool and dandy as well. Johnny May was out due to COVID for the first test, and he's still not really feeling 100%, and he's expected to miss the second test as well, as he's still struggling with the COVID on the second week. Yeah, so he's got a bad case of COVID. Another man that's going to be out, Tom Curry, is going to be missing out the remainder of the test series, as the new protocols for a HIA is 12 days. So he's going to be missing out both the remainder of the series due to a concussion after the game. So finally, the third big test coming out of the weekend, the All Blacks versus Ireland. All Blacks easily beat the Irish team. This was one of those games where Ireland came out with a lot of physicality and really belted the All Blacks in the first 15 minutes or so, and scoring a try. And the All Blacks looked like shell-shocked, but showed a lot of heart for the All Blacks to pull themselves together and just turn the game around. Picked up there was they recognized that they're getting beaten in the breakdown, turned the game around, and pretty much beat the Irish quite easily and quite convincingly after the first 15 minutes. I did feel like the Irish did kind of stage their own downfall a little bit. They really tried to force a lot of plays out of nothing and really forced a lot of really giving away a lot of unforced errors this game as well. And the big talking point out of this game is obviously Scott Barrett at 6. He did a really good showing this game. A lot of physicality, a really high work rate, something that they really needed out of the 6th position. He really stepped up there, so really good job by Scott. Really congratulations for Scott on that performance as well. So a few things came out of this game. Injuries. So first up, the All Blacks going into this game had 3 players: Dave Havili, Josh Goodhue, and the man I'm looking at right here, Will Jordan, all out due to COVID. So they are all back in the training camp this week. So they're expecting to be available for the second test for selections. But on the bad news is Tupou Vaa'i is currently tested positive, so he will not be available for the second test. And also the All Blacks suffered a Sam Whitelock suffered a concussion following the game, so he is not going to be playing the second test and maybe the third test as well, because the 12 days concussion protocol from World Rugby. So that's kind of the update for the All Blacks. So Scott Barrett maybe going to be moving into, so Whitelock is out the second test, maybe third test as well, because the 12 days COVID restriction. As a result, Patrick Tuipulotu gets called into the New Zealand side after being away in Japan, so that's a pretty good addition to the All Blacks team. On the Irish side, Johnny Sexton came off the field about 15-20 minutes in the first half to a HIA, and it was really kind of weird as well. He came off, and then the commentators said that he passed the HIA, so everybody's like, he's expecting to return, but he did not return. He did not return to the field after being taken off. But the Andy Farrell followed that up after the game. Johnny Sexton did not fail the HIA. He's passed these HIA tests, and they just decided not to bring him back onto the field after getting that knock. It was a pretty gentle knock. He kind of fell into the forearm of Sam Cane, and then bumped his head on his knee a little bit, on his shin. Maybe, very gentle stuff. Looked like he was completely okay. So he's going to be available for the second test. Johnny Sexton, pretty important. So one thing that I did notice with the Irish team is that without Johnny Sexton on the field, there is a lack of leadership for the Irish side. The players are really trying to rush everything. Nobody's controlling the tempo. Nobody's checking players. Nobody's controlling the Nobody's controlling tempo. Nobody's controlling everyone's emotions. There was way too many passes that's unnecessary, that's gone to ground for Irish side, and tried to rush himself into a position to score a try, and resulted in the All Blacks able to capitalizing on those mistakes. That is a large part of why this game went south for Ireland, and I felt like having Johnny Sexton's leadership on the field is really, really important for the second test. So I think Scott Barrett, we just mentioned him, Red Card Barrett. He's not cited for anything, but obviously the Twitter referees have cited him. He's been cited on Twitter for a no arm clean out. But Yeah, so Red Card Barrett is cited on Twitter for that, but yeah, he's a lucky boy, big boy, big lucky boy. So Michael Cheika, his inaugural test for Argentina as the head coach, saw him beating, beating Scotland 26 points to 18 in Argentina. This was a pretty big win for Argentina. Now there's a few caveats in this game. The Scottish side is without a couple of the best players. What's his name? Stuart Hogg and Finn Russell are both missing in the squad. So this is like kind of like a trial team for Gregor Townsend in Argentina. And also, I did watch this game as well. So the Argentinian side started off really strong and then fell in a bit of low when Scotland was able to pull themselves back. And then Argentina finally closed out the game late to win the match. It did look like Argentina had a bit of a, it was like a bit of low in like early in the second half. Maybe players have a bit of fitness issues before the reserves started coming on. And also it looked like Argentina's defense was a little bit flat-footed. The Scottish side was able to really like run through the Argentinian defense for a small period in the second half. And for Argentina, it looked like Sanchez was probably injured again. He was taken off the field looking visibly frustrated, having a bit of like leg issues. So yeah, hopefully it's gonna be okay. He's a pretty big player for Argentina. He's like the most important player for Argentina. So hopefully he's gonna be okay for Argentina sooner than later, especially for the Rugby Championship. I really want to see Sanchez play for the Pumas. Next up, we have France beat Japan in their trip to Japan, 42 points to 23. I have not watched this match, so I'm going to go back and watch it, but that's the results. And Japan had 2 wins against, I think, Romania. Is it Romania? Oh no, yeah. What's his name? The one with the blue jersey. Yeah, but anyway, this is the 3rd test Japan played this year, so good exposure for them, especially against France. Many consider the best team in the world. So yeah, really good regardless for the Japanese side. Also, the Pacific Nations Cup was played on the weekend. We saw the return of Israel Folau for Tonga to play against Fiji. And the Tongan team did not look good despite having some of the biggest names in rugby playing for them. They had Israel Folau return. They had, what's his name? Piatau, and they got beaten by Fiji. What is it? 32 points to nil? 36 points to nil? What's the score? 36 points to nil, I believe it was. And this was Israel Folau did come off the field early with a bit of an injury. So 27 minutes for him for his debut. Really a poor showing for 36 points to nil, losing to Fiji. So really good effort by Fiji. This was Charles Piatau, highest paid rugby player in the world right now. He's numero uno, and maybe he's not worth the money. And finally, the second game in the Pacific Cup is Australia A versus Manu Samoa, and Samoa beat Australia. This was actually really poor by Australian side. Samoa was pretty much convincingly beating them for like the first half, and Australia was able to claw themselves back early in the second half, and then last dying minute the score was leveled. It was going to looking like it's going to be a draw. Samoa intercept try to win the game. Sloppy play by the Australian side. Lots of big names in the Australian team as well, including Reece Hodge. You can see here Lonergan, Edmund was in the team, so a lot of big names from the Australian side are not able to, really poor showing by the Aussies. yeah, that's congratulations to Samoa. Really good effort. And yeah, finally, Italy played Romania. This was the first time Italy beat Romania away in 31 years. So yeah, pretty big stuff, I guess. 45 points to 13, also the biggest score margin as well. So Italy really showing that tier 1 nation experience over the Romanians. Yeah. So anyway, that is the last bit of the news for this week. Let me know your thoughts on anything today, especially revolving the water boy and also revolving that Johnny Hill incident. I am really furious. I feel like I should just go to the game and get like a ticket near the team entrance and just really abuse Johnny Hill as he comes out onto the field. Just give him a mouthful. Like, he really is something special. He is disgusting. Anyway, let me know your thoughts, guys. Thank you for watching this video. Like, comment, and subscribe. My pleasure to entertain you as always. And see you guys later this week for the team announcements. Cheers.